Josh Reit is the Vice President of North American Manufacturing at Pernod Ricard, where he leads large-scale operations across distilling, blending, and production. Josh studied packaging engineering and quality management with a focus and passion in lean manufacturing. With a career spanning global leadership roles at companies like Diageo and Miller Coors Brewing, Josh is known for building high-performing teams, driving operational excellence, and delivering results in complex manufacturing environments. And we're here with Josh. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You like that cold start, eh?
Yes. Just jump right into it.
Yeah, just to make things awkward. That's Matthew. I'm Ryan. We're together. We're having fun. But anyways, thank you for being on the show. Let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us your story. What's your deal?
Well, we'll jump right into it, I guess. So a little bit about me. Come from the States, so born and raised in Wisconsin. Kind of a little bit of a rural upbringing, if you will. We didn't live on a farm, but essentially it was very much an agricultural community. So, as I look back, it's the values of small town. Everyone kind of, you believe in trust and ethics and working hard for what you have. And, my parents, didn't have the opportunity to go to school, but it was one of the things that they really aspired for me. So went to school in Wisconsin, had the ability to actually work in a co-op program. And part of the reason for partnering with the Chamber on the MBA program is it was something that was very valuable to me when I was young. Had the ability to co-op for Hormel Foods in research and development, and then do a co-op with Miller Brewing, which was a fantastic co-op, by the way.
I can imagine you're, 18 to 20 working for a beer company?
Yeah,
maybe not the worst place.
I was middle of university, so I was just turning 2021.
Yeah.
But yes, there, a lot of actually in the onboarding program, it was about how do you taste beer and all the different types of beer, which was fantastic. But from there, you start to get exposed to what the workforce is, what the work environment is, and then from there, I had the ability not only to learn about the workforce, but also have connections in the industry. And after graduating school, went back to Hormel Foods for a little bit. Shortly thereafter, Miller Brewing, comparing the food industry to beverage alcohol. Obviously, there was one that outweighed the other. Fell in love with the fast-paced consumer product goods. And then, kind of worked through capital projects and engineering and had the ability to kind of work my way up through Miller. With that, though, ton of travel. So back in that part of my life, an incredible amount of travel, decided, you know what, I need to find a role where it's a little bit more stable, settle down, create and I just had met my wife, decided that we wanted to actually start a family.
Mm-hmm.
Took a role with Diageo. At the time, Diageo was growing extremely fast.
And this was in the States where you took the role?
This was in the U.S., yeah. So Miller Brewing was in Milwaukee.
Yep.
Diageo was just outside of Chicago. So not a big move, but a company that was growing quite fast, had a lot going on, and made the decision to go, kind of leap of faith, go down there, and take a role inside a manufacturing plant. One of the best things I ever did, fell in love with operations and the connection with people.
Said no one ever. Except for you, maybe. Sorry.
I love it. I love it. And so, working inside the plant, made some great connections. Diageo came to me with an international assignment opportunity, went down to Australia. And,
oh, cool.
We live just outside of Sydney, so Huntingwood, Australia. The only rule my wife had is if our apartment was on the beach, we could move. That was the only rule. So
yeah, tough life, eh? Did you have kids at this time?
We had one. Yeah,
okay.
We had our oldest. So so my wife, Sarah, and our oldest child lived on the beach. I got to...
You got to live in the factory?
I got to live in the factory. I seen a lot more of the factory than the beach. I will promise that. After 2.5 short years, we went back to the U.S. for a little bit. Was kind of grounded myself back in the original factory I had started, and kind of COVID started. So 2020, 21, we called it the Crown Crisis, but supply could not keep up with demand for Crown Royal.
Oh,
and
everybody was drinking back in the day. Everyone was just getting crushed.
It's the only thing you could do.
I got to roll up my sleeves here. This shirt's like, I saw myself on camera. It's just very puffy sleeves. It's like a Seinfeld episode. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. Okay. Show off the pipes
fluffy.
a little bit.
Yeah. It's fluffy. Roll them up. So in
Crown Crisis.
Beginning of COVID, supply starts going crazy, right? Trying to keep up with demand. And the organization had approached me about a role here in Canada. And, living in Wisconsin, it's not that far, not really that different. Thought, why not take this opportunity?
Yep.
And came up here, had the opportunity to meet some amazing people, work with the people here, work with the site. Just 2 to 3 years into that role, I actually did not know anything about Hiram Walker and Sons. I will embarrassingly say I was not as familiar with Hiram Walker and Sons as intimately as I am now. And I had drove by the site a few times going, oh, this is a massive site.
Huge.
This is incredible. You know, what is going on in there? And just through connections in the industry, I was in a conversation with a French gentleman who said, why don't you come over and take a look? Like we're always looking for good talent. I honestly took him up on the offer, walked in the building, and to this day, I mean, it is a factory where you're just like in awe. It's
incredible.
It's incredible. It's beautiful. The flexibility for a distillery of that size is amazing. What people don't understand, I mean, most distilleries, and every distillery actually every other distillery that I oversee at this moment runs one type of distillate. It's one type of distillate. Hiram Walker and Sons were running 3 different distillates at the same time, pretty much every day of the year.
Wow.
So
It's incredible.
The Windsor facility here
Yeah.
can run 3 different distillates at any given time.
Yeah.
Which is like, what makes this facility so special? Because I know about it, but most people have no idea why this Windsor location is. I mean, it's the largest grain to glass distiller in North America.
It is. Yeah.
Explain that for us, to the audience.
So I guess when you start at just sheer size, right, we'll do 40 to 50 mola, which is million liters of alcohol, right? And when you think about that sheer size.
And that's annually?
That's annually. Yeah, 40 to 50 million liters every year of alcohol. When you think of that sheer size, right, we're taking in 12 to 15 truckloads of grain every single day, right? So you have to be close to the source, which for us is high quality grain. And we get all of that grain right here locally in Essex County.
That's
right?
incredible.
When it relates to corn. I mean, some of our, different types of wheat or rye we may pull from different parts of Canada, but all of our corn is coming right from here in Essex County, which, so, you have the piece of sheer size, so you have volume and scale, but then on one end of the property, we're dumping corn. On the other end of the property, we're getting finished goods out, right? We can convert vodka in the same day, which there's not many sites that can do.
So when people are drinking 12-year-old Hiram Walker, right, a Weiser's.
Let's call it 10. We'll go JP Weiser's 10.
Okay, JP Weiser's 10.
Yeah. Shout out to JP Weiser's 10.
There you go. It's a good product.
Yeah.
They're drinking corn from Essex County, part of it?
Yeah. So a part of the whiskey, obviously, we're not going to talk about formulation. But, it's corn and rye. But and everyone knows Dr. Don Livermore, right? So he'll be the blend. He'll be the master blender. So he'll set up the blend. But yeah, it is corn whiskey as a base whiskey from Essex County that sits over in Lakeshore at our Pike Creek facility for 10 years.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
I think what a lot of people locally may not realize is that while we are familiar with Hiram Walker and Sons as a brand, JP Weiser's as a brand, it's actually owned by a parent company, so Pernod Ricard, which, I mean, I said it right this time.
Matthew manages to butcher Pernod Ricard every time. It's not
as a
Pernod Richard.
French-speaking
Matthew
person.
Dumouchel can say Pernod Ricard.
That's
correctly.
right.
Pernod Ricard.
So for example, on your business card, what does it say?
So I've actually recently taken a bigger role in January, which actually does say Pernod Ricard. But for our business here in Canada is Hiram Walker and Sons, a Pernod Ricard company, which we are an affiliate of Pernod Ricard, 100% owned by Pernod Ricard.
So what are you doing now? You just took a new job.
I did. I took a bigger role. So the last 2 years, I was the site director for the site here in Windsor. In January, I accepted a role to expand that across North American manufacturing. We have a large bottling site in Arkansas. We've got a couple small distilleries across Texas, Kentucky. We've got a small gin plant in Montreal, and Gava Gin. Fantastic gin, by the way. So just expanding my remit from just here in Windsor to all manufacturing across U.S. and Canada.
I cut you off.
It's
you were
okay.
going to ask a question.
I was, but it's okay.
No, go
I
with it.
appreciate it.
You weren't going to make fun of my sleeves, were
I
you?
wasn't. No, not this
I like
time
this
around.
shirt.
What I was going to talk about is the fact that Pernod has about 500, from what I've read, 500 entities that they own, with obviously Windsor hosting Hiram Walker and Sons, JP Weiser's. So JP Weiser's, for those who are not familiar, has just celebrated a 200th birthday anniversary in 2025, correct?
Correct.
And so as somebody who oversees these types of, heritage brands, How do you find the, I want to phrase this properly, but as the steward of this brand locally, how important is it for you to make sure that you're always honoring the heritage and the actual history of these products while you're wanting to also probably bring new things to the product line?
Yeah, I think it's an in-depth question for sure, right? So I mean, on part of it, the brands are why we choose to work here sometimes, right? It's the connection with the brand. It's seeing it on the shelf. It's the, you almost can romanticize with the brand itself. It's it is our heritage. And a lot of, what I will say, the Hiram Walker facility here in Windsor, the entire team prides themselves on being really the custodians to the brand, right? Whether it's JP Weiser's, whether that's Gooderham and Warts, Lot 40, those brands are who we are. And when you look at that site, it is truly the center of excellence for Canadian whiskey. If anyone is trying to do Canadian whiskey, to innovate, to procure barrels, to start their own brand, they usually start with us, right? And we'll invite them in. We want the category to grow. So we see ourselves as the center of excellence. We bring customers in, we bring brand entrepreneurs in, and we will talk about whiskey distillation, whiskey blending, and all sorts to try and expand the category.
Yeah.
Right?
What makes Canadian whiskey special?
What makes Canadian whiskey special?
You don't have to get into it. I recognize you're an American, so there's the whole bourbon thing.
No, it's
there's
great.
the Scotch thing.
I do prefer Canadian whiskey. I do like Irish whiskey, and I do think Jameson and Canadian whiskey, they're very similar profiles. I'm still acquiring a taste for bourbon. I'm not there yet.
It's okay. You don't have to.
Me too.
Oh, we'll get into that. We're going to cut to a clip after Matthew sampling. Well, I'll get into this. Sorry. Anyways,
No, you go ahead.
Canadian whiskey.
No, I think, Canadian whiskey, it's a very approachable whiskey, right? So there's a lot of depth, there's a lot of range, but it's very mixable, it's very approachable. We have different ranges. So like a JP Weiser's Deluxe, one of our flagship brands might be something that tastes really nice with a ginger. Something with maybe a little bit more flavor would be something like our Lot 40, right? And we're starting to see some people gravitating towards the JP Weiser 10-year, which is a little bit more versatile between the two.
Cool.
Yeah.
So at this point, we will talk to you about our very first episode. So our
Okay.
very first episode of this show, Matthew had no idea what we were going to sample, and it was
I seen this episode.
it was right
this.
after.
Oh boy, here we go. Hot seat.
We just got a bottle of the Legacy, the 200 year. What do you think?
Oaky and very mild. Nope. Yeah, it's not necessarily something I would pick up off the shelf, but it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Oh, there you go.
So-
Yeah, because I was just going to throw you into the bus and say that you absolutely hated whiskey. Well, it's not 200-year-old whiskey, but signifying 200. For someone that Matthew doesn't like whiskey, how do you convince them that they should enjoy more complexity in the whiskey as opposed to just going, I don't know if I like this? How does Matthew's palate evolve is my question.
How does it mature?
Mature. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to find obviously things that you like, right? So, are you like a fruity or?
Yeah, I don't think you can say that
Sweet.
on air. That's kind of inappropriate. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. But yeah,
the finish of the whiskey. I guess are you
perfect.
because you drink alcohol, right?
Right, exactly. When I partake, I usually will gravitate towards something that has like a fruit base.
base.
A wine. I enjoy wine, but usually I'm a mixer.
So some whiskeys and some that we work on, and what I will plug, this is an American whiskey, so maybe it's the wrong plug, but like one of our bourbons we finish in cognac barrels.
Okay.
Right? And we've experienced a little bit with some Canadian whiskeys. Most recently, we just finished in Japanese oak, so Mezzanera cask. So I would say, finding a neutral whiskey, and a Canadian whiskey is a very approachable whiskey, right? So maybe Legacy had a little bit too much spice, a little bit rye forward, where a corn-based whiskey like Canadian whiskey that's double distilled, that's a little bit more neutral, maybe finished in like a cognac barrel, could be something that would, kind of be more open or.
Sure.
I've got a 22-year-old bottle of Pike Creek in the Pedro Jimenez casks.
Yeah, in the rum cask.
It's incredible. I think you would like that. We'll try that next time.
Okay.
Pike Creek could be something too. It's a little bit, it's finished in rum barrels, right? So you might get a little more of that sweetness.
Yeah. I mean, recently, a couple of weeks ago, we had Mayor Drew Dilkins on, and we were able to sample.
I brought out the 42-year-old
Did you?
that you gifted me when I first got this job.
Okay.
And we enjoyed it together.
What'd you think?
Oh, I've had it before. It's incredible. I love it. I've also had the Mizunara cask. Delicious. I've got a few of the bottles now. So I've got a 24, a 28, a 42. And honestly, like I've got them up at my bar. I celebrate them. Like to me, this is part of, I'm a Windsor person, Windsor-Essex person. So going back to the brand stewardship and the people that work there, like to me, it's part of who I am, right? It's part of Windsor-Essex. And, a lot of people identify that it's one of the most iconic things in Windsor-Essex. So I know you haven't been here for a long time, but I know that you feel that brand affinity and that, the core of what Windsor-Essex is. And it's very much tied to Hiram Walker and, the company you work for.
And so I've been here 5 years. My oldest is 10. My youngest is 6. I mean, all they know is Canada.
Yeah.
That's truly all they know. I mean, my oldest started school in Canada. So this is really what we know the last 5 years. And back to the site, there's 400 very hardworking individuals at that site. I think it's easy to drive by and just not really think about what's happening. But, again, I'll go back to you're dumping corn from the farmers in Essex County on one end, you're converting the distillate on the other end, which, there's a lot of automation, but it takes real people, right, that are skilled individuals, skilled labor here in Windsor. They're able to run those stills as efficiently as they do. By the way, much higher yields and much higher productivity than the American distilleries. And I know
Nice.
because now I have it. It's a very efficient plant. Converting the bottles, obviously we got a huge distribution hub. So Pike Creek's not only a maturing house for us, it's a huge distribution hub. It services everything here in Canada for us. It's a fantastic property.
Very cool. I don't think people knew the complexity of your site, the operations. I mean, people drive down County Road 22 and see it aging on the left-hand side, but I don't think they knew that served all of Canada.
Yeah.
And aged all of Canada. So, yeah, every time that I have a sip of that 42-year-old, I think of, the history of this region and how much I appreciate that first gift you gave me and how much we enjoy it together. So,
distilled in 1982, sitting out in Lakeshore for the last 42 years.
you got it. I've only been sitting in Lakeshore for 41. With that, let's go for a break. We'll be right back with Josh Reit from Pernod Ricard, Hiram Walker.
Exciting offers all year round with Plantscape Windsor, an affinity partner of the Windsor-Essex Chamber of Commerce. Liana and her team are here to help you transform your space and elevate your workplace. Right now, Chamber members can take advantage of 3 incredible offers. First, enjoy 10% off year-round maintenance services, including commercial, industrial, and institutional snow removal and grass care, with a minimum 1-year contract. Second, bring life and color to your office with a customized tropical plant service featuring a free 3-month trial valued at up to $250 per month. And third, boost morale and well-being with horticultural therapy. This is a unique, hands-on experience designed to reduce stress and inspire creativity. With 1 free trial for up to 15 participants, don't just maintain your space, transform it. From lush greenery to stress-relieving horticultural therapy, Liana and her team at Plantscape Windsor bring life, beauty, and well-being to your workplace. These exclusive chamber member benefits won't last forever. Visit plantscape.ca today and start creating a space where people thrive.
All right, we're back here with Josh. Shall we get into the sample? You don't know what it is.
I'm nervous.
You don't know what it is.
But I'm ready to get in.
Okay, so I have never tried this before.
Okay.
Matthew's never tried this before, but I know that you've tried this before.
Okay.
So why don't we show you what it is?
So first off, obviously,
Oh, we have glasses.
it'll go in a glass. But today's sample, none other.
It's the new partnership.
It's the new partnership.
Yes.
So that was what, 3-4 months ago this first came out?
Yeah, we just publicly announced that it's been a work for the last, I would say, year to 18 months, but a huge partnership for us. Obviously, 2 extremely strong Canadian brands.
Yeah.
JP Weiser's Canada Dry. Have you not tried it at all?
I haven't tried it.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
haven't.
I've had Ryan Ginger before, but I haven't had this one.
Okay.
We've had, yeah.
7%, so I'd say it's kind of your standard Ryan Ginger.
Perfect.
But you
Yeah. Do you want to do the honors?
Go
Open
for
it
it,
up
go for it.
inside the, do a nice little crack.
What's
And that's
that
perfect
thing?
ASMR.
No, we don't.
There,
Oh,
there
no,
it
you don't
is.
need that. I got it.
Come on.
That's for all the viewers out there. They needed
Pour
that.
it so like flat, or is it bubble it up a little bit?
Bubble it up a little bit.
Look at that perfect.
It's going to be
pour.
fine.
Perfect pour. What's your drink of choice? What's your drink of choice?
I am a Wiser's and ginger. That is my
Okay.
go-to. Normally a Wiser's Deluxe if I'm out.
Yeah.
But obviously the ready to drink business continues to grow. So Hiram Walker and Sons is so we are a primary manufacturer for Corby Wine and Spirits. So Corby Wine and Spirits is also owned by Pernod Ricard. They own Cottage Springs. So with Ace Beverage and Cottage Springs, this is how we've kind of developed this.
Cool. Well, cheers to that.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Cheers to partnerships.
Let's let Matthew make the first call.
So this is something I could probably drink on a regular basis. So we'll start with that. So it's a positive.
There we go.
I have a question for you as we sip and enjoy this. Is this product, the ready-to-go products, packaged, manufactured here in Windsor, or is this something that is brought in?
So the whiskey is.
Okay.
So we there we go. So we manufacture all the way, just like we normally would. It's JP Wiser's whiskey. But then we work with a partner over in London called Blackfly.
Okay.
And they are a partner for canning. So we do not have canning capability in Windsor yet, but it is something that we continue to explore as ready-to-drinks continue to grow. It becomes a more important segment for us. Everything right now is the typical glass or plastic bottling. Cans are a market that are growing.
Very cool.
This is delicious.
It is really great.
It's good, right?
Yeah.
Crisp. I mean, you get the whiskey flavor. Like it's not lost in the ginger. That's excellent.
Do I sense a note of vanilla in there too? I think so.
You should.
Yep.
Yeah.
And ginger, I taste a hint of ginger.
There's a little bit of ginger. I taste some bubbles. It's really cool.
Yeah, buy some. Get out there. So it's kind of cool. These are in our 150th classes. And Hiram Walker is our longest standing member. Celebrated 1900, I think we had the date back to.
Yeah, I think it's 1900 if I'm not mistaken on the dot.
So 126 years you've been a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So thank you. And we had one heck of a party the other day.
It was a blast. I was able to join.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
We had a lot of fun. So before we get into this, or before we continue this, Matthew.
Yeah, so, I guess in case people are not following us on social media, about a year ago, maybe less than, but around a year ago, let's say, when Ryan and I stepped into our new roles, we had the opportunity to tour the facility here in Windsor, which was a fantastic experience. It was something that I hadn't had the chance to do before. Had you been in the facility
just like
before?
a small mini tour.
So what I thought was really interesting is just the sheer size of it. And obviously the amount, we've talked about it, the amount of employees that are helping to make day-to-day operations happen. Are you able to talk a little bit about the different setup, the different buildings and what each one does? So there's obviously the plant on the north side on the waterfront, but then there's also the manufacturing side, if I'm not mistaken, on the south side, correct?
Yeah, so I mean, we would call it manufacturing production. Doesn't matter.
Fair.
But so on the north side of the road, you have the grain silos,
Okay.
Which are truly just holding grain. 75% of it's corn. There's rye. There's malts. There's barley. From there, most of that is all being conveyed all the way down to the north side. You'll see there's the tallest building right in the center of the property. Those are our mills. So up top, there's 4 hammer mills. That's dropping, whatever we're milling, whatever grain we're milling that day into a cook system. We've got 2 different cook systems. And then we have that large building, which, again, if you're looking at the north side of the road, kind of, there's the bridge over the 2 buildings to the right. That's where all of our fermenters are sitting. So we have 36 fermenters, 30,000-gallon fermenters that are sitting there. And usually a normal fermentation is about 72 hours.
And 30,000 gallons, that's what, like 6 stories high, these tanks?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're big tanks.
Basically as tall as that building you can see. So not the tallest, that's your mills dropping down, but to the right of that, that would be your fermenters that are essentially, fermenting fermentable sugars into alcohol. And then from there, we'll run it through a series of distillation columns or pots, depending on the product recipe, which is all on that kind of northeast side of the building until you get to the office building on the far side, which is just a series of offices for all the support functions. On the other side of the road is your packaging. So it'd be, blending, bottling, distribution. There is a small distribution warehouse there. The majority of that is actually going out to Lakeshore, and that's where the rest of it's all being distributed, whether, LCBO direct pickups or also to the States.
And it also on the facility or in the campus, there is an event space. JP Weiser's correct, has a space that used to be open to the public to rent.
Yeah, we try to do more just special events, so it still is there. So when you're looking at the far northeast end of the property, there's the office building in the first floor there. It's the JP Weiser's Experience Center. We still do host a lot of events. There's a lot of internal events. There's also a lot of customer events. We do, if you kind of watch LinkedIn, Don will do the Blending 101 classes. We've done some distillation classes. We'll also train, we'll do like cocktail classes. So we'll train local accounts, whether in Detroit or Windsor, on how to make the best drink with our products. So that's kind of what that space is. On the other end of the property, we do still have the Windsor Club. We lease the space to them. Obviously, it's an independent club, but we have.
So that's owned by. I didn't realize that was an ownership model that you had.
Nope, just the building. So
you own the building, but you lease the club out.
We lease it. Yeah, okay. But it's a close partnership, right?
Yeah.
So it's a really close partnership. It's a great club, and we try to stay, closely linked and involved as much as we can.
And you are on the board of directors at the Windsor Club as well.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. It's a great club. We actually just moved all of our happy hours there, so we actually do an entire site happy hour once a month at the Windsor Club.
Very
It's
cool.
a fantastic benefit, but it's also a good opportunity for us all to come together.
Nice.
So when we were there, and we shared actually just before we were prepping for the show today, that you just signed 2 new union agreements. They've been ratified. So that will keep people working in Windsor longer.
Yeah, so 2 3-year agreements. One with 2027, which is our production operators and mechanics, and then the other one is 772. So local 772 represents our power engineers. And I don't know if many people know this, but our powerhouse is actually a Class 1 TSSA certified plant. We do produce about half of our own power on site.
And the rest you purchase off Enwin?
Correct.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Close partnership with Enwin.
And then I heard some crazy stat that you pull a whole bunch of water from the lake or the river.
Yeah, we do. we do. So, distilleries are wonderful, but they do consume a lot of energy and utilities. So we try to produce about half of our own power with steam that's in sequence going to the stills anyways. On the water end, we do have an extraction permit as well as a discharge permit. None of that is contact, so it's all very safe. We use it really for cooling. So when you heat things up in a distillery, you have to find a way to naturally cool it back down. So we just cycle the water through to help us cool kind of back to an appropriate temperature.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fascinating facility, and you think back to 200 years ago. I wonder how they started doing it, or 150. That facility itself is how old? 150 years old?
Yeah, I would say we're actually closer to 160 now.
Wow.
So yeah,
I'm sure there's some interesting nuances to a building of that age.
it is, and most of the expansion was in the 50s and 60s. So I would say a lot of the expansion is still in a relatively is in a really good shape. We do have an original wall dating back to the original build in the powerhouse. So dating all the way back to the late 1800s, which is really cool to see. And it's part of the foundation on one of the sections in the powerhouse.
Question about, so when I was younger, I remember driving from, my house to school or whatever the case is. And when you drive close to the facility, there is a fragrance in the air of that fermentation, I'm assuming, kind of actually turning. I don't even know exactly how.
We have no idea what we're talking about here, by the way.
We
I don't know
do
if
just a little bit, but
idea.
That scent that's in the air that people recognize with the facility, I don't smell it as much anymore. And is that because there's new ways?
You don't live there anymore.
What are you talking about? Is it because that there's like new ways to ferment and make the?
Because you're talking about fermenting, I'm gonna have a drink.
Yeah, please do. God, please, because I'm sure it's a very fascinating, part of the process.
Yeah, so it's actually nothing to do with fermentation at all.
Okay,
perfect.
Cool.
Nothing to do with
Well
fermentation.
done, Matthew.
Awkward.
We're prepped.
There is maybe some odor on the cook process when you're cooking corn flour, but really the majority of the odors that you would have smelt in the past was when you take the alcohol out of the stillage, right? So you run the fermented stillage through the column, you take the alcohol away. There's still a lot of valuable product that comes out. Specifically, we call it stillage, but it's a lot of fiber and protein.
Mm-hmm.
So historically, we would have used dryers, 5 big, large-scale commercial dryers to dry it down into a product called DDG, Distiller's Dried Grain. and then you'd sell that back as cattle feed. It's actually traded. It's a commodity item, and essentially you take the corn from the fields and you give the feed back to the cows, and all you want is the sugars and the alcohol. So we had 5 large-scale commercial dryers. When you're drying stuff, obviously you're getting lots of odors coming off of that process.
Okay.
With, I would say in the last 3 years, we've really looked at the back end of our process, and not only from an odor perspective, but said, how could we be as sustainable and environmentally friendly as we possibly can as we look at the new age in distilling equipment. And a lot of that switched over to a wet cake process. So you can still sell it to the cattle. You're just not taking as much water out of the process. So we've recently put in 2 brand new evaporators, which have MVRs, which is a mechanical vapor recompression units on them to conserve energy. So they're essentially recycling steam, running very, very sustainable, very environmentally friendly, without all of the energy and without all of the odors. But we're still able to sell that product back to the cows.
So I'm not crazy.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy.
Not wet cake anymore.
No, it is wet
Now
cake.
wet
Wet cake now.
No
Not
DDG.
beefcake. No beefcake.
No beefcake here.
Right, whatever.
Yes. DDG to wet cake.
That's very cool.
So you're a young guy, right? Young family. You said 10 and 5. You got little
10 and
humans.
6.
10 and
Yeah.
6. 10 and 6 humans. Obviously very successful. Big job at corporate VP level, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
As you're considering that, and there's a lot of younger guys in their 30s and 40s making these major career jumps, and women, of course. What goes through your mind as you're making that career move? Like, how do you go, you know what, I need to take this. This is important. Like, conversations you have with your family, life considerations, what goes through your head?
Yeah. Opportunities do come up throughout a career, and there are some that you say yes, and there are a lot that you have to say no to. I think for me, it always defaults back to kind of what are my personal ambitions? Where do I see myself? And it's not just about this move, but it's the move after. And when I took the role to come to Pernod Ricard, originally the discussion, and I was very open and honest with the HR team of, I would love to be a site director on this amazing site, but my ambition would be to look over all of the sites in North America, right? Like, it was very clear my ambition and my purpose for joining and leaving a company that I had been 10, 11 years with. And, for me, it was kind of linking that together, right? And even the choice then to go and say, okay, from a North American manufacturing perspective, what would be next, right? And you start to think, okay, end-to-end supply chain. You would look at not just manufacturing, but where does supply chain fit in here? And, what would that look like? So how do you start working on a development plan and building capabilities in supply chain? Sometimes opportunities show up, but I think it's about making sure that when they do, is it linked to the end game of where you're trying to get to.
And as a mid-career professional, how do you manage that? Like, is it something you're conscious of the whole time? Or is this something that kind of happenstance by doing what you do on a daily basis?
I have a process. So I do have a development plan. Now,
Through the company or personally?
I would say it's more personally.
Okay.
We do have a development plan process within the organization. At certain levels, it becomes less, I want to say it's probably less important to your line managers, more important to you personally. And so I keep very in tune with my own development plan. But as a part of that process, I use a process called career mapping, where it's kind of where you've been and where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. So if you know where you've been and where you want to go, then when these decisions come up, you're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. That's actually in the trajectory that I saw myself going. Or if it's completely sideways, it's like, okay, I really got to stop and think about this. Like, does this actually make sense?
And this is at the end of the map is your long-term career goal.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
We won't get into that unless you want to share. But one day you'll be the president of the entire system.
Of whiskey.
You'll just run
President
whiskey.
of whiskey.
And you'll think back to this interview and be like, that Matthew guy.
That's where it
He
starts.
I
gave
think
me a
he
great
lied about the
idea.
Ryan Ginger that he just.
I think that
So-
this is a perfect opportunity to kind of like pivot into what you believe your secret sauce is and kind of what makes you tick. Why do you get up and do what you do on a day-to-day basis, knowing that you're traveling often, your day-to-day is probably super hectic or chaotic at certain times in the year. But what's your secret sauce? Why do you, Josh, continue to do what you do?
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I think, everyone wants to feel like they're making an impact, right? I think that's important. For me, my impact is with people. I absolutely love working with people. One thing I didn't share of where I came from, my first year in university was actually education. Technology education was actually my first
You're
year
gonna
of
be a teacher?
education. I was going to be a teacher. A high school teacher is what I wanted to be. Actually, that was my dream job. And, you know, if I could do it all over, you know, and I've always thought about this in retirement land, do you go and be a professor at university or community college? I think that'd be a blast.
And then you can play pickleball.
There you go.
Going back to our previous
See, there you go.
conversation.
Last week's convo.
Yeah.
But it was always that connection with people, right?
Mhm.
And being able to work with people. So I think what makes me tick is I'm really fascinated by people that have, you know, these unique high capabilities. And then how do you bring them together and make them work as a team? I truly believe you hire people, you promote people that are obviously more capable than you. You surround yourself with the smartest people in the room. And then if you can get them firing together as a team, and that's truly what the Walkerville team is right now. It's an incredible team, super capable, and they're working in just the most autonomous fashion I've ever seen, right? Where it enables me to go to the US for 3 weeks and not even worry. Like it actually performs better the last 3 weeks when I was gone. It just makes me like, okay, maybe
Wait a minute.
Yeah, wait a minute, what happened there? But it's when that happens, that's me making an impact on a group of individuals, and that's what keeps me going, right? So now when I look at some of these smaller sites in the US, I'm like, okay, could we rip and repeat, right? So
It's fascinating. I'm not usually at a loss for words, and I'm not necessarily today, but your conversation and the way in which you approach things is having me personally think about my career, my life, and I'm sure Matthew's thinking the same thing because we're all relatively the same age, and it's important that we take a half step back every once in a while and figure out what we're good at, what skills, what knowledge, what our secret sauce is. And we ask it all the time of guests. And your commentary today has me going, I need to pause and make sure I know what my secret sauce is. So thank you for that.
yeah, no problem.
Not a question, but just a statement.
It makes me easier over here.
Yeah. What, you've been here for 5-6 years now.
Yeah.
And thankfully you moved to a different place that didn't have its own crown issue. But what do you see the next 5, 10, 15 years look like for Windsor-Essex? And what do we need to do now over the next couple of years to make sure that 2040 vision comes to fruition?
Let me, so last week I had an amazing opportunity to go to the NAMES convention.
The names.
NAMES, North American Manufacturing Excellence Summit.
Okay.
It was an amazing summit. It was put on by an amazing committee where it's just talking about the future of manufacturing. So let me talk about that and then come back to Windsor.
Yeah.
But the entire summit, as you can imagine, is AI, right? Everything is AI. Does AI exist in your strategy? What are you doing with it? And it starts to break down, how do you start, right? Because I think it's easy to say AI, and I'm like, where do I start? And, I think one of the quick takeaways I took from is an AI agent can easily upload all of my maintenance manuals, and versus a mechanic reading a maintenance manual, they can literally just go to the agent and say, here's my problem and here's a recommendation. There's an additional one we're looking at right now called POCA, where you videotape an individual doing their role, and it'll spit out a work instruction and an SOP for you. So you think of the hours and hours of creating SOPs in a manufacturing site, where now you can take a video and here's your documentation, right? It's wild. So, as we look at the future of manufacturing, it's not a if this is going to happen. It's truly when and how far this goes. But, there was a saying at the conference, and it wasn't about AI is going to take my job. It said, somebody who knows how to use AI is going to take my job. That was the saying at the conference. So it's not, don't be afraid of it. It was about how do you embrace it, because the power of someone who is knowledgeable is probably who you have to fear versus the technology itself. And we recently, actually, my team approached me. This wasn't even a push. This was a pull. Pushed me to say, or came to me and said, there was this class on AI. We all want to take it, right? And the leadership team at Hiram Walker & Sons did that on their own. And they came back and it was fantastic. So, and I can share the link or whatever on the training. But so coming back to Windsor, right? So if we think about manufacturing, this is where we're going. This is the technology in front of us. I think it's about how do we embrace this new workforce, right? How are we partnering with the community college? How are we partnering with the University of Windsor? Example, our partnership with the MBA students. We also have a student program. We have two apprentices. Sorry, we have a apprentice. The union will Rory, we're working on the second apprentice. We have one apprentice. We are going to do a second apprentice very soon, right? So it's about how do we partner with this new workforce, this new generation, so that they're embracing technology, and we're obviously embracing the technology from the front. And I see that as kind of how we lead in manufacturing and stay on the forefront, we want to be the center of excellence. It's not just the craft, it's also the technology, right? 10 years ago, it was DCS, which was our automation software. And 10 years from now, it's how do you overlay AI? So it's watching the control charts for you versus making decisions back at the screen. So I think it's about how are we embracing the community college, University of Windsor, the apprenticeship programs, ensuring that the workforce is set up to handle it. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff around utility and infrastructure and all that stuff. But for me, it's about the talent.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And I mean, you and the team have done a great job of building those bridges to St. Clair College and building the bridges to the University of Windsor Odette School of Business. And, that's kind of why we do what we do here with this chamber world. So Josh, I'd like to thank you for helping us build the bridge between and teaching us about the Walkerville site.
Okay.
And bridging between alcohol distillation, alcohol sales, one of our longest standing businesses in the community and our longest standing member, and the business community of Windsor-Essex. So thank you very much for your time today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you for having
being
me
here.
on.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.